Mr. Ferguson, first I'd like to say thank you so very much for serving our country. I really appreciate it, and I always like to make that acknowledgement. Um, Tell me, what were some of the circumstances that led to you joining the Marines during the World War II?
I was drafted.
Oh, you were drafted? Okay.
Yeah, I was drafted when the Marine Corps doesn't draft, so they say. But I was put in, I was slated to go to the Navy. And while we were waiting to find out where we were going, I asked one of the chief, I knew a little about the rank, I asked the chief where we were going. He said some of us were going to submarine school and some of us were going to cooking school. Well, I didn't want any parts of that. Mm-hmm. So then after a while he came back with a list and my name was the fifth on the list. And he said, you guys go down the hall, turn to your right and go in that last door. And so when we did that, there was 5 of us. And when I did that, I saw the great big USMC up there. I said, oh no, oh no, so I went back, I said, look here, I'll go to the Navy, cooking school or submarine school. And he said, well, don't tell me, he said, go in and tell the man in that office. So when I went in the office, this guy was writing something, and I noticed he had this cap in the firebox, and in the firebox it had scrambled eggs all around. And I knew I couldn't tell him I didn't want to go in the Marine Corps, and I backed him out and I went in the Marine Corps.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
What did your family feel about that? What was their reaction?
I didn't have any choice.
Okay. I guess
my
not
mother
being
didn't
enlisted,
want to go, and she already made a statement that my brother and I, it never made her cry until we went into service, So at that time, they were doing the war, the last part of the war, and they were drafting like crazy, so I had to go.
Wow. Wow. What's one of your most memorable incidents or something that happened to you while you were in Marines in the beginning, whether positive or negative?
Everything.
Everything?
Yeah, everything. From boot camp all the way to going overseas.
Wow.
There was a lot of things, but, after all, when you think about it, it's part of, I'd say part of life, and it was part of training, so I have some negative feelings, I have some positive feelings. But if I had to do it again, I would go back in the Marine Corps.
So, Mr. Ferguson, you mentioned that you were drafted near the end of World War II. Now, even though the Montford Point camp was open for a couple of years, did you, and maybe some of the things were ironed out, did you encounter a lot of racism or unfair practices toward the African American soldiers at that time?
Yes. As far as going into Jacksonville, as far as the Marine Corps was concerned, or as far as we were concerned, all our drill instructors were black. They had, but all our officers was white, but the drill instructor was black, and they had been trained by, white drill instructors before we got in. But as far as racism in the city, I only went in the city one time, and that was to catch the bus to go to Wilmington. Mm-hmm. And the way they did at the bus station is they had the colored section and the white section. And when the bus would pull up, they would let most of the whites get on. And then maybe it might be 25 or 30 black Marines in there, maybe 3 of them would make it. Mm-hmm. They'd have seats for them. So a lot of guys was, discouraged from going up. And it wasn't anything to go, I didn't see anything that I wanted to go to in the city, which was Jacksonville. So I stayed on the base until I was shipped overseas.
Okay. What was one of the most challenging aspects of being a Montford Point Marine?
Most challenging was, I think the most challenging was going through boot camp.
Okay.
That was the most challenging because it was pretty rough, and the drill instructor was pretty rough on us, and they were strict. And it was kind of like you were just one platoon, you were just one team. If one guy goofed off, then everybody suffered for it. So, you know, we had to keep guys in line to try to keep them. And I had a guy that went into service with me. We were in high school together. And he had a bad habit of oversleeping regularly. And I'd have to get him up and make him dress and get on the company street, like the rest of us, to keep us from getting in trouble. He got us in trouble a couple of times.
Wow.
You know, so we had to do extra duty, you know, like we'd maybe run down in the boondocks, that's down in the weeds with a locker box on your shoulder and all that kind of stuff. It's really, but I finally got a little satisfaction at the end, because after we got out of boot camp, I say a couple of weeks later they put us in different outfits. And I said maybe a month later I was going to the chow hall, and the prisoners was going before us. You know, they had the big P on their back, and he was in the line.
Wow.
With a P on his back. And I tried to say something to him, say, you know, just like that, and the MP made me move on, you know, say move on. But that was a little consolation, because he used to tease me up. So I got somebody to wake me up every morning. My old girl wake me up like that. So that was one of the things that, you know, that I enjoyed a little bit afterwards.